So there's a point in every trip where like it almost feels like I'm like reaching further and further into like a place where like I'm not supposed to be. Like I'm just going and going and I don't mean like in a criminal way or like in a trespassing way, but just like a like this is not like my environment. Like this is not like where I'm expected to be. Like the way that I think about it is that there's like an on the rails version of like every country, like of every like destination, where it's like you get there and they strap you in and it's like here's the Grand Canyon and like here's like Mount Rushmore and here's Statue of Liberty and like in like Jurassic Park-esque fashion, then like I feel like there's a point like my interests always lie, somewhat outside of that and like there's a point in every trip where like I get out of the Jeep, and like go off on my own and you know like Eastern Turkey, like it's not like no one goes to Eastern Turkey, but like basically no one does. Like it's like I brought it up to my tour guide, the genocide denier, like that tour guide, and I was like, yeah, like I'm going to Eastern Turkey, and like keep in mind that like this is a trip where like I couldn't really tell anyone the whole time I was in the country. I could not tell anyone while like why I was there. There's a country that has no freedom of speech. The opposite of freedom of speech, if anything. I don't know what the corruption is like of like the military or the police. I've seen Midnight Express and like that movie scared me a lot. But like the reason why I was there, like it was completely taboo. Like anything related to the Armenian genocide, like this event that they deny happened is it's taboo. It's subversive to national interests. Like it's the first time like I've been in a country like in for a reason that is like kind of like ooh, like that's kind of like a like that's not why you should be there. But the eastern part of the country, like it's like it's kind of like a spare, like kind of run down, like some might say that it feels like it was completely destroyed 100 years ago, like almost like as if like 100-ish years ago, there used to be like a middle class there that like just vanished, like maybe 100, 104 to 106 years ago, like what happened, but it's not the nicest part of the country, the effects of that are still there. And I mentioned oh yeah, like I'm flying to Eastern Turkey, like I love off the beaten path kinds of places. Like I'm not into the tour, like I want to go see the mountains. I'm into seeing nature. Totally a lie. like that's not really what I do when I travel. And like the tour guide tells me like no, you would not have a good time. Don't go there. And like I'd already booked everything there, and I thought it was just like a friendly like no, there's better. But he like we have this back and forth, and like he's trying to dissuade me from going to this place, but he's trying to not give me like a negative impression like of his country, and like he tells me tourists should only go to Istanbul and Cappadocia. Like we're going back and forth about like well maybe I could, and then it's like no, like stay in Istanbul or go to Cappadocia or don't go anywhere. And like what was wrong with this place, like he wasn't saying like that there was a problem with any place besides those two places. He was saying like those two places are not where tourists will enjoy themselves, and he was saying the particular place I wanted to go, which is close to the Iranian border. The problem with that place in particular was he said like it's all militarized. He said like you'll be stopped by police every 10 minutes. They'll ask you why you're here. There'll be like a language barrier. They'll check your passport. They may take your phone, look through your photos. They might not even like give you your phone back. Like they could just take it. And like particularly like for me, then it was this this kind of concern that they would look at my phone and they would see like pictures of Turkey, and then they would see pictures of like the Armenian Genocide Memorial in Yerevan, and like all these like videos that I'd taken talking about like like the Armenian Genocide, and that like I'm in Turkey for so so yeah, so I was concerned, and but like the question was like, what was I supposed to do? Because like I had like 3 days left in Turkey at that point, like three or not 3 days left, but like 3 days I could actually do something with. And like my whole goal was to go see places like where the massacres happened and like to see what used to be Western Armenia and like the villages, the villages that are written on the wall in the Genocide Memorial in Armenia. I wanted to go to those places, like I had a list of places, and I got that list from, and like I wanted to see those places, and like here I was kind of in danger of being stuck like in Istanbul the whole time, and like getting just like pushed around to all the normal dumb boring tourist stuff, and I had no interest in doing that. So my last ditch effort with this guy, I pull up a map on my phone of Turkey, and I'm like, okay, what about this city? What about here? What about here? What about this place? Is this place good? And like I'm trying to just find, obviously I don't want to go to a place that's dangerous, and I don't want to, jeopardize my safety, or just even like put myself in an extremely inconvenient situation. And like he finally gives up, and he's like, okay, look, go to Van. It's safe. There's some things to do. It's off the beaten path, and like like it was, I not told him that Van was on my list for historical reasons. Like he was just saying like, oh, there's a lake there. There's this little island there. You can go see the castle. So that was kind of the final word on that. He was just like go to Van. And like I had this list of places that I wanted to see, and now it kind of felt like it was like, okay, choose one, and like I was still going to try to see as much as possible, but like it was starting to feel, like I was starting, I was feeling very limited by the trip, and I was worried that I was not going to, that like I'd really not get to see much of anything. And I'll show you the one thing which I did not get to see, which was very high on my list, and I had been thinking of it in kind of like a no matter what way, like no matter what, I'm gonna get here. This is the one, if at all possible, I have to do, and it just was not possible. Like the timing didn't work out, and like practically, like there were a lot of reasons why I wasn't able to do it. So this city that I want to go to, it's called Igdir, and I'm gonna put a map. So first of all, look where it is, okay, and look where Armenia is. And this is not a city that had like a significant Armenian population, or where something big and historical happened or anything like that. I wanted to go to Igdir solely because of this. Okay, so this is the Igdir Genocide Memorial and Museum. Okay, also known as the Martyr Turks Museum. Now, why does Turkey have a Genocide Memorial Museum? I thought that was the whole thing. I thought they denied that, and the whole, So guess what this is, okay? And if you could, I mentioned this briefly in one of my other videos, but guess what genocide they're memorializing here. So if you look at the Wikipedia page, and speaking of Wikipedia, by the way, was banned in Turkey until recently. That's, just to give you a sense of what kind of country we're dealing with here. It was banned recently. By recently, I mean like until last year. The whole site was banned, all of Wikipedia. So if you look at the Wikipedia page for the this monument, it says Memorial and Museum of Martyr Turks Massacred by Armenians, or Igdir Genocide Memorial and Museum, is a memorial museum complex to commemorate alleged massacres by Turks by Armenians during World War I and the Turkish-Armenian War. Okay, so this is a genocide museum that is the opposite of history. It is that reverse narrative that the Armenians did a genocide against the Turks. Okay, and look where it is, right? So if you can imagine a German museum and monument that memorialized the genocide of Germans by the Jews in World War II. Like the very existence of this thing, it's so disgusting. It's unbelievable that something like this, like it's one thing to be hush-hush about everything. It's another thing to deny it. It's another thing to have this narrative. But to have a site like this, that is a different level of horrible, of just disgusting, and yet, this is something that I've learned, this is not just, it's not just common to have, this kind of thing. It is a feature of genocide, to have genocide denial. Genocide comes with genocide denial. And like, it seems like it's there every time. And like, particularly this, this type of vile brand of genocide denial of reversal, that in Rwanda, you saw the same thing, that immediately after the genocide, there were these widespread, like widely reported, even more so than the genocide itself, there are these reports of a genocide of Hutus by the Tutsis, complete reverse of what happened. And like with the Holocaust, it's not, I'm not aware if this happened concurrently. I would imagine it probably happened, before, but it definitely happens afterwards. If you look at the kind of white supremacist go-to justification, then you see white replacement conspiracies. They're trying to get rid of the whites. Like, it's not enough to just have some kind of plastering over of the truth. It has to be like the only way to, like it's like the Goebbels saying, let me find it. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. But like, it has to be big, right? Like the point of that is that like, it has to be big. It does not work with a small lie. The bigger the lie, the more effectively, his rule works. And like that was the reality in Turkey that I wanted to see. Like this is a country that is ashamed of their history. And like, I was talking to another tourist there, and like, he was talking about how they'll he heard about this situation where they dug something up. They got, they were excavating something for, I think, like a building site or something like that. And like, they came upon something that they didn't know what it was, historically or archaeologically, because it related to some part of history that they had completely suppressed and completely erased. This is and it's interesting. This is the sense that I get is that there's this tension that they love what they are, but they also hate what they are. I read this quote. Actually, so like these two quotes help me. This is obviously very biased against Turks. Like, this is from that book that was about, just kind of like railing against the Ottoman Empire. But these two quotes from people who studied the Ottoman Empire, like during the Ottoman Empire. The first one is by a guy named John Reed, where he says, the Turk of the present day believes himself superior to the Armenian, Greek, or Frank because he stands in the position of the conqueror. Okay. In a similar vein, this other quote by this guy, James Bryce, he says, the Turks have remained a conquering military caste, refusing equal rights to their subjects, maltreating and oppressing them in every conceivable way, and maintaining their ascendancy neither by superior numbers nor by superior civilization, but by the power of the sword. They are still, in fact, a hostile army encamped among unarmed subjects who detest them. The Turkish government has always been merely organized brigandage. Okay? So, obviously, very, very harsh, extreme statements, but like that's the sense that I kind of get even from talking to Turkish people about their history, that they have this national identity as the conqueror. They're the tribal warrior who drove out the infidels, and like it's the happy soldier, the magnificent army that breached the walls of Constantinople and fulfilled the words of the Hadith. Like that's Turkey. Like something to, if you want to think about Turks with some context, like something that like you can kind of compare them to or like fit them into, Turks are Mongols. Like not figuratively, like they're from Mongolia, okay, or actually they're from northeastern China. If you go back to like 2500 BCE, like if you think like when the pyramids were being built in Egypt, then all the Turkish people who were in Turkey, like all the Turks, like their ancestors, those people were in northern China during that time. While the pyramids were being built, then those people were all the way across Asia, the other side of Asia. And then after that, they were in Mongolia for a while, and then they came west as conquering tribes, or just as tribes. Eventually, tribes that conquered, like Asia Minor, and like it's not like when I compare them to like the Mongols, they're not obviously like the same people as like modern, like they don't have a related language, and like they became very different from each other, like culturally, and like the Turks are a lot more diverse, like in terms of their like kind of genetics, but like just as a way to place them in your mind and to give some context to like what their history looks like, like like the Xiongnu, like in the movie Mulan, like the people that like the Great Wall of China was built for, like those people were Turks, or like the Huns, like Attila the Hun, like that crowd, like like those were Turks, um, and like the whole style of not throughout their entire history, but like like kind of the conquest part of their history, like I honestly get the sense that like they're proud of that and they're understandably like uncomfortable with it also. Like it's not an easy like identity to like fit into like the modern mind, like the modern world, and like you can confront it and like grow into something stronger and like something better and like redeem yourself from that identity by doing better, by kind of righting your wrongs as a people and or at least growing into something that represents something more constructive and healthy and to the world around you, and like that is kind of like what I witnessed in Rwanda, that like they did have this horribly divisive past and this just brutality that was in them, and like they completely turned around from that and they confronted it, and the confrontation became part of their history and the turnaround became part of their history, and like that has led to all the growth, but like that's one option, and the other option is that you can spin lies and punish truth speakers and like just like let it fester in like your national mindset, like your national consciousness, and like that was kind of what I wanted to see in Turkey, like the festering part of their national mind, and like to be clear, every country has like a part of their mind that festers. Like America definitely has many, but like observing this particular kind of like national mind, national like mind rot. Like that was my goal in Turkey. And like I had that conversation that I made the other video about. I had a conversation with that tour guide who was the genocide denier, but I wanted to see denial in a form like like the monument, like where it's plastered over real history, where and right next to Armenia, right in their face, like they can't help themselves, but like it's like this cruel compulsion, that comes with this kind of intellectual cowardice, and like I ended up getting a taste of this like at the museum in Van. Then keep in mind, this is a city, so Van, once again, city where Armenians barricaded themselves in like a 4 square kilometer part of the city and like survived against the Ottomans for weeks, and they're fighting and watching their city get flattened by the Turks. And then in the museum in Van, and like I knew that it wouldn't mention like the actual history, unless it had some way of concealing the truth, like, and not just like concealing it, but like reversing it. But like watch this. This is when I found it. Found it. Here's the denial. As a result of Armenian revolts, it was occupied by the Russians, razed to the ground. Van as a city just seemed like a normal kind of small city to me. There's barely any trace of the explosive conflict that had happened there 100 years before. Not that I expected to find much, but and that was part of what I wanted to see. And it was part of what was interesting and meaningful to me which was to see a place where events had happened that should be commemorated, to see a museum that should cover a horrific military conflict in the history of that, of that place. That, this is the Museum of Van. It covered the history of the city, and all that was there was, a small blurb that glossed over, one of the most important things that had happened in this place. And not just glossed over, but it was buried. It was buried at the bottom of, in the corner of some room. And what had actually happened was erased and reversed. That was what I wanted to see. There are 250,000 people, 250,000 Armenian refugees and fighters here 106 years ago. On these streets, and now no one here even knows about it. It was really eerie. The only trace I did find was this pole that had the name Cevdet Bey on it. And this is the Ottoman governor, the horseshoer of Bashkale, who was called that because he nailed horseshoes to the feet of living Armenians. And he was the governor during the defense of Van. I don't know what they think of him now, in Van, but that's what I found. The last goal I was able to fulfill, was to see Mount Ararat from the Turkish side. And of course it was really beautiful, but it's still just so crazy to me. The situation here, that it's on everything in Armenia. It's their national symbol, and it's not in the country. It's in Turkey. Like, it's so purposefully out of reach. It's just a cruelty, And it was also a strange seeing it reverse. In the week I was in Armenia, I'd seen it kind of. It's a mountain that has a shape to it. And now the small mountain was on the opposite side. It was on the right side. The big mountain was on the left side. And I never purposely tried to see anything from like opposing sides before. And it took a lot to get out here. It was not just to get that far to eastern Turkey, flying to Van, and then drive all the way out here. But like, it took I experienced what that tour guide had warned me about. When I got close to the Iranian border, we were in within kilometers of Iran. Then there were tons of checkpoints. There were tons of military checkpoints. They asked for our passports. And everything went fine, of course, and there are places where if you stopped, apparently, then they saw you on a hidden camera, and the police showed up immediately and ordered you to keep going. It was not the easiest place to be, but I'm so glad that I did get to come here, and see this in my final days in the country. And at some point, I'd like to return, make it out to Igdir, see that martyrs memorial with my own eyes, but at this point, that's still a goal. It's still on the list.